Okay, we're going to try to repopulate the scene, learn a couple things that may make things work better. So when I bring in a character from Ready Player Me, it comes in as a GLTF, and let's say I bring in Dorian, and I'm not changing any of these, so I import it, and it says armature. Now in that armature file, it has a bunch of things. So I'm going to call this, well, what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to create a new collection. And so, new collection, that collection somewhere here, where did it go? Down at the bottom somewhere. Didn't come in, where did it go? There's room, there's lights, there's armature, that one. Let me try this again, new collection. Oh, I see what it did. It created a collection that has the name characters, and I don't need that. So let's make a new collection up here, and where'd that go? There it is, collection 5. So I'm going to make this collection and call it Dorian. And then I will take Dorian as a collection and bring Dorian into characters. And then I will bring this armature into that collection. And then he appears there, so I'm going to take him and drag him over to here. I'm going to rotate him in the z-axis, like so. And notice what happened. He left behind his eyes, his body, his head, his outfit. All that got left behind. So I'm going to grab all that and bring it into here. That seems to be what was going wrong before. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to call this Dorian armature, so I know whose armature I'm talking about. I can turn that armature off. But as you can see, his invisible man is still there. Alright, so I have Dorian there. And this here is Lake Ness. We'll run out for a second. Alright, and then I'll go and grab the next collection. This time I'm going to make the collection first. So I'm going to go new, same collection, new collection. And call this Raj. And take Raj and put it in the characters collection. And now that I have that, I'm going to import GLTF for Raj, which is here. And the armature has come in. I assume that it should all work now. So if I take Raj, bring him back, and rotate him. So let's see if we left anybody behind in Raj's collection. Now his collection seems to be good. And then we can turn him off, and we can turn Dorian off from the collection instead. And Sarah. So Sarah's getting a bit of a problem. Where is she? There she is. It's called Sahara. You see, so Sarah. The problem is Sarah's not in her collection. And that's why she won't disappear if I'm going to make her disappear. So once again, I'll need to create another collection. And I'm going to do it from scene collection mode. And then take this and call it Sarah. Sarah, and characters. And then take Sarah armature and add everything inside. And bring that into Sarah collection. Yeah. because all these are named the same thing, Wolf 3D Heron on that. And we don't want to get confused. Alright, and now let's bring in, we save another collection. Let's make sure we bring in, first let's start again with the collection. Let's call, let's call this Sophia for principal student characters. Drop it into characters collection and then import TF Sophia. And it looks like it's all in there, although Sophia is Sarah. Her name's got messed up. Right, so delete that. So Sarah is named in this folder here. Next is comic. Sophia should be Sarah. And Sarah should be Sophia. So there it is. I'm just going to have to change their names. So, we pause and look at that. Alright, so I've changed those names around. And now let's bring in teachers. So we'll bring in young Dorsey. And then let's come in the center of the line. So, oh, he's not the one with the hat coat, so maybe it's not who we want. We get rid of that. Let's see if I bring in Art. I've got Dorsey. Oh, it's just a head. Alright, don't want that. What else do we have? Great guy. Young Dorsey body. There he is. Alright. So let's bring him back. And let's see what happened here. This armature has everything in it. Okay. I forgot to make a collection, so we make a new collection and call this person. Let's bring out two characters. And then let's bring this armature. Save it. And let's call it person. Alright. Although, somehow, so yeah, see, this is something that sometimes what happens is the hair and stuff gets put in the wrong place. So I'm going to take those and bring those into here. And supposedly now, still not working, it's in there. The eye left and the eye right. So they're inside the Dorsey collection, but they're not going away, as we expect from me. Oh yes, except for the eyes. So the eyes are not, see the eyes there. So there's a bingo. So there's his eyes. And that's because the eyes are here, and they need to be up there. There. First. And what this does is we'll pick object. Now, if you select this and you pick pose mode, you have the ability to rotate the eyes. So if I rotate, see, you can't really see it because they're hidden behind. But if you rotate, see if I hide it and then rotate it around the z-axis. should work. So rotate. How it is. It's supposed to be working. So it's not letting me pick it. If I keep rotating it, the only way is you have to somehow make it say, ooh, it doesn't work. And then rotate it back on the thing. I think I messed that up. Okay, there's the other. So we do have to figure out a way to animate that, maybe to make that transparent. If you were to look at that, I think you'd have to go into object mode. But let me see something. If we come up here and we go to materials, don't have materials, you have bone data and constraints. So I don't think that the bone hide. But hiding it isn't going to mean that you can see it and you can't see it. So it should be selectable. Because if you hide it, if you select this and you hide it, you can't manipulate it. Try it to rotate. Yeah, you can't get at it when it's here. So these bones, let me see if I can have a pose mode. I'll go to object mode. There is no way to hide it, I guess. Okay, so I figured out how to make those eyes so that you can see behind them. What you do is you go down to bones down here. So this is a pose position, rest position. You go to bone, and then you come down, and it'll be probably done as armature defined, but what you want to do is make it wireframe. And since it's wireframe now, when you click on it, notice I could have made it control or wire. Now when you click on it to rotate, you can see the eye rotating behind. And that's how you can work with that. So you would, for each of them, you would come in and turn on the wireframe. And then if you wanted to, you can see what's going on. So that is helpful. You don't need to do it for the other things because you don't need to see through the others, but that one you do. Alright, so that was good. Now we can keep that on. Close that up. So we have one more character, which is Colleen. Bring him in. And he is, let's bring that. Somehow lost him. So should be able to bring him back. Down. And let's see if that worked. Again, we need to create a scene collection, new collection, all this. And this up, characters, and then bring this armature inside, and then rename it armature. And it looks like the eyes came out. So again, we'll have to do the same thing. We'll have to drag these into Armature. Same thing for the body parts. So now we have and pose of the Armature. Alright, so that's our cast of characters. And when we were having problems with bending earlier, like if I'm going to bring his arm up, so you go up to pose mode and select, I can zoom in here, but I can rotate his arm. The problem was that this was set on video cursor. When that happens, you get Reed Richards from Fantastic Four. You can either set this button to medium point, in which case get the medium to the stretch. You can set it to active element. That also works. And if you try to set it to individual origins, that can also work, as you can see. Alright, so that's working. You're supposed to be able to even set fingers, but that's a little harder. We can certainly do a thumb, the opposable thumb, and we can do a wrist. And then it really depends on what axis you're trying to rotate, as you can see. Because if we were rotating on this axis, we'd raise the hand up like that. Alright. And again, if you want to do the eyes, click on that eye. Go down here and make it wireframe. And you can even make the width of the wireframe less. And then you can see. It doesn't go really well. Right. So you can get that. So now we have all our characters in. The next thing we want to do, we'd already made this Python script. If you look at scripting, there's the Python script. And that created a switcher for my camera. So I can go to camera 1, this, I could go to camera 2, Dorian and Sarah. I could go to camera 3, just Dorian, and I want to move that a little bit. So let me make sure I keep that camera edited. I find it would be under the camera Dorian, and then and it doesn't seem to be moving. Why is it locked? Let's say why it's locked. So this is Dorian's camera. Yeah, interesting. I'm not able to select, oh, because I'm still in pose mode, of course. Back out into object mode. So then you can select this and then position it there, like that. And hit save. So I've got Dorian and Sarah camera, which is this one here. We've got a Dorian camera, I've got an in-thought camera that's moved a little bit. That over. So in-thought. I've got Sarah's back. Another camera. And I got a Sarah close-up, which doesn't look anymore like it's close-up. So let's move this camera, rotate it. Using, move it up closer. And then if you really want to get in close, you can go up to view, and then you can go into navigation and down to either fly navigation or walk. A quicker way to do that is simply to hit Shift tilde, and then you can use the W, S, A, and D keys, and you can get your camera app. And then use your mouse to adjust it like that. In that case, you the ability to jump. Now, to do this, it's now a back camera view. And this we can add cameras to. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to see about constraining the cameras to these different positions. So, for example, if we did Dorian's camera and we go like this, we want it to follow Dorian. So we're on the camera here, as you can see, and then we go to this Constraints tab down here, and we tell it that we want to add a track to. And then we want to tell it what object we want to track to. You could track to Dorian, but if you want something that works better, one should really add an empty. So we put a cursor right here in front of Dorian, and then I will add an object called an empty. And you can do anything you want from it. You must put plain axes like this, and kind of move these axes around. And then this has to be parented so that you can, whenever the object moves, the empty moves, or vice versa. Most people will create an empty for a character and then pin the character to it. The problem here is that this is not what part of this mesh would you do without distorting it. So I think we will. Let's see, if we take the empty, so what we're going to do is we're going to make the empty the child, and we're going to make the bones, the rig here, the parent. So in order to do that, I've got to get out of there, go to Solid Works. And so that's going to be the parent and it's going to be child. So children come first all the time, so you select the empty, make sure it's where you want it to be in terms of the character. So let's put it there, and then we're going to parent it by, I think it's by hitting P now, Alt P. It's clear parent, so I don't want that. Do Control P, set parent to the object, and we do it. Keep the transform running reverse. Let's just set it to an object, and to tell it what object it's supposed to be. So, so what I should have done is selected this and then selected the rig. So I hold this. This is in object mode. Shift click on the rig. Now you see the child was first, so it's dark orange, and it's selected there. Now I do Control P, and I say to do it to bone. I could do it to object, but I want it to be to the bone. And so now the empty is underneath Calhoun. Or is underneath Calhoun? It shouldn't be under Calhoun. That empty should be under Dorian. So that's interesting. Let's do Alt P and break it, clear parent. So that empty, I'm going to move into the Dorian folder. It's the empty. And now, if I say to it, okay, you are going to be parented to, shift click you, and then go Control P, and go to the bone. Yes, you put it underneath the armchair. And that means, since this is the child, that I can move this independently, but if I move the character, my empty moves with it, as you can see. So wherever I move the character, it's going to move the empty, but now the camera is going to be tracked to the empty. I want to call it Dorian empty because there's going to be a lot of empties for empty Dorian. So there's empty Dorian. And now the camera gets tracked to the target, which is the empty Dorian, which is down here somewhere. There it is. And that puts this little blue line in there, which means that wherever, oh, by the way, it should be track axis -Z, up is Y. It's the normal world space thing. And what that means, since we have this, and we'll apply it now. I don't have to apply it. But what that means is that wherever the character moves, camera, as you can see, is going to track it. Okay. And then when we go to the Amadorian, we see that as we move, it's going to track. So you get some interesting camera moves. So I'm going to do that for each of our characters. I'm going to make it empty for Sarah here. And usually when you want to make it empty, you click on the cursor and then place it. Keep finding the best place for the cursor. But it just gives you a rough area, and then when you add your empty, you end it. It'll go right to the cursor. Then you can go back to your selection. Then you can move your empty around. And then once again, we said we want to take that empty. It should be down here somewhere. All this empty Sarah. I'm going to put it in the Sarah folder. Find the Sarah folder. Tutorial. There's Sarah. So let's put the empty Sarah into the Sarah folder. Sarah. And then we click on it, and then we click on the bones. And we do Control P and put it to the bones, and it goes underneath the armature, as you can see here. Sarah. Once again, we take the camera for Sarah that we made, that one there, and let's not parent that, but let's add an object constraint, which is that it tracks to the empty Sarah. And then Hercules, tracking her. We do the same thing for each of our characters. We don't have a Dorsey camera yet. We have a camera MTharp. So I'm not going to move this. I'm going to leave it where it is and just create an empty for MTharp. So that's around there. And then add an empty. And put that empty. I guess I can put that empty right inside the MTharp. So that'll be there. And we'll call that empty MTharp. Remove that empty MTharp folder. Does MTharp even have a folder? No, MTharp doesn't. Let's create a collection for MTharp. So, a new collection for MTharp. And let's bring it up into characters. And then let's take MTharp and drop MTharp in there. That's the empty. MTharp itself has to be in the same folder. And then, here we go. So there's a camera for MTharp, which is this one here. And so we can, first of all, take the empty. I have to go to the selection tool. Take that, and we're going to this time constrain it. So I'm going to parent it. Control P. We're going to do it to an object because there are no bones in this MTharp. So it's just an object, but we haven't selected the object. So you shift click to get there. Control P. You can do it to a vertex, or you can do it to an object. I'll just do it to the object. And then we will make sure that the empty is parented to it right down there. And then we will constrain this camera, track it to, and I think I can just click on it. No, it didn't work. We can take the eye dropper. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Okay, let's go back out of there. And let me track it to the empty. See how it changes the name? Okay. Now that is moving so that if at any point we were to move, then the camera would track it. So no matter where we went, we would always do. We also have, let's see, we have a camera for Entharp, a camera for Dorian, we have a camera for Sarah. Sarah's back has a camera, and if we wanted to always follow the character's back, we would just select that and constrain it to that same empty, I hope. Let's see, track 2, and then target would be Sarah to Sarah. And I guess if we had moved Sarah around, both cameras follow her. So if I go to the camera Sarah's back and I move Sarah, then we get that nice movement there. If I go to camera Sarah close up and move Sarah, then I get that kind of tracking there. So far so good. So we have a constraint for Clara, Entharp, Dorian. There's a Dorian and Sarah. If we want to do a two-shot, the question is, where would you do that? And I guess you could be kind of funny about it. You could say that this camera is constrained to an empty that lies in between them, but that could get kind of funny. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'll leave that as a sort of manual camera that I set whenever I want to do two shots. What is interesting is that we also have a new program. This program here for the camera switcher is something that ChatGPT gave me, and it was this one here. So that's the camera switcher program. But there's another program that ChatGPT has written for me that's really exciting. And so that one gives me Director. And when we look at scripting, let's see if that is anywhere in there. Huh. It's working, but it's not in there. So, this is the camera switcher script. I need to create a new script. I think it should not interfere. So I create a new script, and ChatGPT has given me a script here. And this is going to automatically create cameras for me. So let me paste that in, and I'm going to save it. So how do I do that? The text, so we call this Director. Followed camera. And that will automatically do it. So let's also make sure that we save. And let's run this. And when we run it, and the script is in, what it creates is this thing called Director. And this says to make focus cam for selected and then jump to selected camera. So I have these other characters I don't have any cameras for. I mean, obviously I have that camera and I have this camera. And you see the constraint lines in blue, who goes to what. But if I want special cameras that are automatically made as I add characters. So let me pick Joe Dorsey here and say make focus camera for selected. It created an empty, as you can see, and let me highlight it. Let's look at it. So it went to Dorsey Amateur Focus. And then when we jump to the selected camera, which you can see being right here, it's got Dorsey Armature Camera. When we jump to it, no camera named Dorsey Armature Camera 1. To select it. Isn't that interesting? So there's an empty, so I have to select that camera and jump. Huh. Okay, I did something wrong. So let me get rid of that camera. And we'll get rid of that. And let's try it again. We pick Dorsey. We say make focus. We jump to it, and then it jumps to it. Okay. And because it's jumped to it, because this is now the empty can be moved, but if we move Dorsey, then it didn't parent. Very interesting. So we would want it to do some parenting, but it does give you the camera, but if he moves, it ain't going to follow, whereas this moves and it will follow. So you have to parent it. So there's a flaw in the code that it didn't parent. So let me go back to ChatGPT and say, let me get my, we've got the code here. So we'll copy the code and say, this is good code, but doesn't parent the empty to the character. Could you modify so that it makes the empty, which you represented as a sphere, follow the character around so in turn camera will paste back the other piece of code that we had, see what we get, because that would be really helpful. Otherwise, you have to move the character with this empty. Now I can do it, obviously from this. I can pick the empty as I had before, and I can shift click on that character, and I can go Control P, and I can parent it to the bone, and then Dorsey Amateur Focus and Dorsey Amateur Camera can both be selected and brought into Dorsey. And then now when I move Dorsey around, let's see what happens. So reviewing Dorsey's camera. Yeah, so now wherever he goes, just as we were doing with our other cameras. Now did it add that camera? Let's look at the camera switcher. Yep, now we have a Dorsey camera. So we've got a Sarah camera and we've got a Dorsey camera. So this script picks up whatever we do in this director script. But we've got to fix the director script. So let's see what ChatGPT has come up with for us. See go back there. We got it, the missing piece is currently empty the character's head bone, or at least the armature, so it follows the rig, it doesn't deform it. So we can finds the armature, finds the likely head bone, presents the empty, falls back to parenting. To the armature object, if no head bone is found, keep the switch out of tracking the empty. Paste this over it, and add the title helper and the script. So let's try that. It says we should copy the code. We'll leave that for now. Let's just try this. Go to scripting, and let's take this and select it all and delete it and repaste in there and run it. And when we go to layout, let's take another character who doesn't have it. Take this character here, and we will also, if this is Culhane, let's go inside and open to pick that, and we will do it. We go and select. Let's go to make the focus, and then jump to camera. There it is. So now if we move, didn't do it. Didn't Oh, okay, so it didn't do it. Huh. Oh, because it's called. No, it's not one. So it didn't do it. Didn't do it. Why didn't it do it? So let's try it. So this one we did manually. Camera follows that. This one follows that. With this one, let's see if we. Maybe we have to. Well, we did run it. Okay. So we have to run it. And it says we're viewing the camera. Here. So what's happening? Oh, it didn't even create. Didn't even create it. So something, you have to make the focus. Alright. There it did. And then jump to the camera. But when we move the character, nothing's happening. So it didn't parent it. Alright, so I gotta go back to ChatGPT and ask them why not. Right, so got a new piece of code and an apology. And I go back to here now and go to my scripting and replace this code. And oops, I didn't do it right. There we go. And run it. And now, see if this code works. So it did create. I need to go to jump to the camera, and then when we move it, it's still not working. Darn it. It did do a Culhane camera, so I see one of the Culhane one, but it didn't parent it. So it failed. So maybe then what I have to do is manually do it, and then parent it. No active bone, means no active bone. Oh, sorry, start with the child, then pick the bone. Now Control P. No active bone. Why? Maybe this is not empty. Let's see. This is an amateur focus. What is empty? And it's not parenting. So if I take these and put them into Culhane, but it's still probably not going to do anything because it hasn't been parented. This is the child we start with. Why is the child first on the airplane? Then this, and then we say parent. I do object. Now, when I move this, it moves. It's just not parented to a bone. So that's interesting. What if I tell chat still didn't work? How about using the code to with the object? See what this comes up with. Alright, let's see if this new code does anything. So we go to scripting, new director for camera. We can get rid of all that again. Come down here. Save that. And let's run it. And hopefully it's now updated that. And so when we go to the layout, if I now pick with this character here, and I say that I want to go to director, oh, it's got focus settings, camera setting, use child of, make focus camera for selected, and then jump to it. Oh, what's it? That's so weird. So it's made it so the empty it's connected. Weird. So let's turn around and try this again. Because that was bizarre. So make the photo use the camera distance child of. Ah, there we go. I jumped the camera. Oh, there's no camera selected. Oh, select and then jump. There we go. So now if we move her, camera follows her. Alright, so it did parent that. So that means you can set offsets if you want to, right? So you have the ability to set offsets. And then move the character. Alright, so it's done it, and then when we look at the camera switcher, we now have a Sophia, we got a Dorsey, we got a Sophia, we got a Cocaine. I manually did these. So it looks like all of the characters now have cameras associated with them that can be jumped to. Sarah's the only one who has a back.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Can I sleep with you?
So I've put both of these scripts into our PCGS and Vision Sustainability and Sustainable Design Laboratory. So you have the camera switcher script and the director camera tracking script. And it's great to have them both because then there's the camera switcher script, there's the director follow the camera. And this gives you the ability to jump to each of these cameras whenever you need to, while this one, the director, enabled us to make the camera. So this means if I add any other character, like so, let's say I go and I add, let me import here a GLTF. Let's say I go, we have all the GLTFs. What do we need? We need some OBJ files. So let me find an OBJ. I think it was an OBJ I saved these things as. So OBJ and that's that serving models, fake trees, harp. Well, so that's interesting. So where is? I wonder where is our. Nothing there. Maybe in downloads. I should have put everything in the right folder. So let's go look in downloads and see if we can find the characters that we made, like Smock's Focus. So if you have, I don't see them. Isn't that interesting? The ones that I created with Mesh.ai. So it's not in there, but I do still have them here. So I don't have to bring them in. We close these up. And there's my cameras. New cameras, of course, are being created all the time. And I should put Sophia's in the Sophia folder. So let me bring this up and put it in Sophia folder. But it'll recognize all cameras. They're the generic cameras that I created, or they're the cameras that we've now associated with the objects because we used the director to make a camera. But there was, okay, so let's say we want to take the lyre, it goes into her hands, and we want to make a camera to look at the lyre. So if we wanted to do that, the first thing I want to do, of course, is I want to associate the lyre with Sarah because she's the one that plays it. So I'm going to bring the lyre into the Sophie folder, which is fine. And then there's this empty for it. But so the lyre's got its own empty, as you'll see here. It's got an empty, and that empty is what moves the lyre around. So in this case, so if I make the focus cam for the selected boom, oh, we have to select a character. Yeah, I know. So in this case, because it's already got an empty associated with it, I'm going to just make my own camera for this. So what you do is you come over here, it's focusing, and then you would hit Control-Alt-0, and that supposedly makes a camera. Oops, it's the wrong camera. So that didn't work. So since that didn't work, let's try that again. So we have.
But I only
perspective.
Rockabye
Oh, I know why. Because what you have to do is you have to create a new camera first. So we're going to add a camera, which is there. It's way off, right? And we're going to come to that camera, and we're going to find it by hitting the period key. There it is. And we're going to call this camera lyre. And then when we've got that camera selected, we then choose a view and then do Control-Alt-0, and that is supposed to move that camera. I wonder what happened. Here's the camera lyre. It's looking in the wrong direction. So I'm not sure which camera lyre is looking in the wrong direction. So this is what the camera lyre sees. And if we want to make that camera lyre look at this, I could have sworn it was Control-Alt-0. So you can look and say select active camera, but you can also view line view cameras. So you say set active object as camera, so it's control number pad 0. And then yeah, that's not setting it. It's supposed to take something and then Control-Alt-0. There we go. I don't know why it didn't seem to work, but now it worked. Control camera lyre, there it is. And so now if we wanted to constrain that, we would tell it to have a constraint. We would let it track to the object being the empty, which is object. That's it, it's called lyre. So we have the camera, and it is being constrained to the lyre part. So let's find it. Lyre part. And so now whenever you move that, wherever that object goes, the camera will follow it. So if we now look down and bring that empty into her arms, and then let a us. Take her on this one and go to pose mode and rotate. And then her other one and rotate. But of course it's also going to have to be able to flip up. Go back out. Something like that. Alright. Go back to feature mode. And save. So now when we go to the Lyra cam, needs to be put like that. But should the lyre move, especially if we make the lyre, let's say that we take the lyre and parent it, get the child of the bones. So now to control the bone. So now wherever she goes, her lyre goes, and the camera follows. So wherever she goes, the camera goes. Sarah and the Lyra camera goes as well. But we want to make the Lyra camera go in deeper, so when we are on the Lyra camera and we go to Shift tilde, can't do it when there's object constraints. So let's because there's object constraints. So let's just move this camera closer. Why did Dorian's camera do this? Right, Sarah, I moved the wrong camera, it looks like. Should have done that. Sorry. It's the Lyra camera. It's Dorian's camera. I think Dorian's camera we need to move in. Alright, so if we were to take Lake Ness character, who doesn't have any bones, she's in the way here, so how do we get to where she is? So let's move Lake Ness here and rotate her and leave her. So Lake Ness and Ledger are over there. If we wanted to get cameras on them, then we should be able to go to the director here, and there's no rig to do there. There's no bones to do, so use child of, make focus camera for selected, create one camera. So there it is, lateness camera, lateness focus, and then jump to the selected camera. And there it is, and here we have character, camera's following us. So this one did not work because there was no rigging. So we put that into the character. Because there were no bones in this. So that gives us that. And then move it down to center. And then parent to here and parent to the object. And it just means that when she moves, the camera's going to move. And so if we were looking at the camera, which select these and bring them in. Oh, I don't even have a folder for her, so it's going to be a collection. Let's call this Yes, and bring these in to her. So when we go to camera switcher, there's a witness cam, and then wherever we move.
Daddy,
Yes,
Daddy,
yes,
look
honey.
at me. Look at.
Yes, yes. Yes, I hold on. And then we would do the same thing with the character of Sahara, who is standing here, and we have that character, and Sahara needs to have camera too, so the director make this camera focus, it creates that blue line, which is great. There's the empty there, but apparently, it's not working with the empty. So here's where you have to do the parenting thing. Because that code is not working for the parenting. So Control P, and we go to the object. Now when we move the object, we can get closer to the road, closer to the camera. And as maybe we want to move that object up as well. To the face, and then when we look at the Sahara cam, it is, because it's parented, so there's things you can do with that, and we would do the same thing. We'll need to take Sahara cam, learn the focus, and go into we need to use some pause. Sahara, and then Sahara, go to characters, and then bring Sahara into there, and bring this has to be open here too. And this should be a plus folder. Enough. And then we'll move this and this into much needed. And then find this where it's focus. So new collection. So this where this focus. Come into the character collection. And then bring this guy in there. Turn it on. Here's there. Same thing. You can swap these characters out because you'll have the cameras already in there and you can just use the empty. Okay, so the last thing is to jump to it. So what we're going to do, first thing we'll do is move these into and then go to focus. And then we go into so focus is fine with the camera. Needs to move. So go to the camera and we'll take this angle and we'll control here. So this works focus. And yeah, so if you then have to find this and focus and then click and then tell it to parent. And that means if we move those guys, it's below too much. So if we were looking at this camera, select this. didn't fit. So there's a mistake. I need to highlight now that means as does yeah. So we have many different formats to choose from. Income, sports time, Sophia time, yes, UI coin as well. And we can put them in the script.